Today we are live for the final regular season event of the year and the final major. It is the Miller Lite AVP Tour Championships. Our feature match today. We're hoping for a good one. Adam Johnson and Karch Kiraly, Dax Holdren, and Todd Rogers.
I think he's played the best volleyball that I've ever seen him play out here on the Miller Lite Tour. Marvelous transition hitter. He's playing good defense behind Karch Kiraly, and in the big matches against the top hitters offensively, Karch is blocking 90% of the time, and AJ's had the ability to really have his defense shine.
Todd Rogers got the kill. Rogers writing his name on his shirt. He's 6'2", 185 pounds, out of Santa Barbara, California. Now living and training in Hermosa Beach, and that ball cannot be brought up. Rogers and Holdren told me before the match started that they need to get off to a good start. They need 5-0, 4-1, or 3-2 side change. If they get that, they can be in this match.
Well, 5-0 would be ideal, and Dax Holdren, one of the few top-ranked left-handers, along with Dave Swadek, out on tour, and maybe it doesn't seem like that big a factor if you're sitting at home, but in windier conditions that we have an awful lot out here on the beach, tell you, that jump serve comes at you with a completely different trajectory and different spin, and he can cause some problems with respect to his jump serve.
Miller Lite scouting report on Karch. Great all-around game, of course. The experience, mental game. What about his shoulder now?
I don't think it's a question anymore. Will Karch ever be able to bounce the ball into oblivion and scare his opponents the way he once did, including the Russians and the Cubans and you and I? But I don't, he's not going to hit with that kind of velocity. But told me that he's still working on his shoulder, rehabbing if necessary, and playing superb volleyball.
Serving Johnson. And a good dig by Rogers. Chance for a point here. It's 1-0. Could be 2-0. And Rogers missed it. Karch won't.
Todd Rogers got to make that play. Got an absolutely perfect set. In the old days, we call that nectar, right on top. This is nectar. It's sweet. It's pure. And players today aren't used to getting sets right on top of the net because the block is so intimidating. Karch played back in the 70s. He knows what 50-50 is all about. He pounded that thing straight down.
1-0. Holdren and Rogers leading. This is Todd Rogers.
And line.
No. And Rogers guiding the ball out of bounds. Point. Kiraly and Johnson.
They got to stay aggressive early. You have to challenge Kiraly and Johnson because they have shown over the last couple of weeks, winning 4 out of 5, that they're right now the best side-out team on the beach. So you have to really play aggressively.
Here comes Johnson. And the serve is out of bounds. That was a very tentative-looking spike from Todd Rogers. He figures to get most of the serves. Dax Holdren there, the taller of the two, the blonde, will do the setting, and Rogers will try to do the terminating.
It's a good ball control team and has marvelous chemistry. These two young guys grew up in Santa Barbara and were setting teammates on their high school team, and went through the whole qualifier procedure last year and earned their exemption out onto the Miller Lite AVP Tour. So they're not going to fade, but they've got to make some things happen, and already they've had some opportunities. And Adam Johnson and Karch Kiraly really clicking offensively right now, and it's been keyed by Adam Johnson's ability to pass the ball and take a lot of court, and Karch is setting him exceptionally well.
Karch is 36 years old, born in Jackson, Michigan. Rogers, dink, yes. Todd Rogers, who was a setter in college at UC Santa Barbara for Ken Preston, and he's got good ball control, Paul.
Yeah, and surprise Karch, however, who works an awful lot on his movement. He's got a coach down in Orange County named Adrian Crook who works with him just on a quick first step and covering the court. And once you see that knuckle pokey come out, the ball's going straight over the top. I thought Karch should have been closer to that.
1-1. Here comes Johnson. And Johnson tapping down the line. Adam said this week it's only a matter of time before he and Karch got their act together. They had a disappointing first half of their season together, but now with 31 career wins, he's 10th on the all-time list, and the next up for him would be Ron Lang at 41 to move into 9th. So Johnson has a good chance to pile up a lot more wins in his career, especially if he stays with Karch. Here comes Rogers. And Rogers tapping.
Oh, that's the kind of dig that Adam Johnson has been making the last 5 weeks, and you talk about their ascension up through the rankings, and we remember, because we were there at a previous Grand Slam in Chicago when Adam Johnson and Karch Kiraly finished 17th. AJ indeed has had a marvelous career. His first win with Pat Powers in Santa Barbara seems like a long time ago, and Indeed it was.
1-1 Karch over the top and down.
Nothing wrong with his shoulder. That was high, hard heat. Karch works still diligently on his fitness. Doesn't lift weights. He's not nearly as bulky anymore. Hasn't been able to really pound in the weight room because of that shoulder injury. There you see the residual scar down the right shoulder. Major reconstructive surgery.
A lot more damage than first expected. 1-1.
And line.
Rogers, his first good swing. I think Rogers has a lot more aggressive nature in him when Johnson is blocking him rather than Karch. Karch stuffed him off in Hermosa.
Well, Adam is just slightly shorter than Karch and doesn't jump quite as well, but AJ's a pretty good blocker. And what they want to do is when AJ is at the net blocking, they want Adam to penetrate, take an area, and then play to the strength of Karch.
Ace serve for Todd Rogers, and they regain the lead 2-1.
He's got good snap, got a nice arm swing, was a setter in college at University of California, Santa Barbara. Watch the snap at the end. Really gets good top spin, and when you get that good crisp contact, then like Adam Johnson and the really good servers on the beach, Brian Lewis also, you can get very good location.
Rogers, Karch forced to take that one. Great set. And Karai bounces another one. So the three-time Olympic gold medalist, 1984, 88, and 96. With a little detonation.
Getting in position first, but ball control. AJ setting the ball, and worked a lot with Jose Loyola when they played together last year, just setting the ball high in the middle because Jose could crank from anywhere. And now that Karch is stronger and his shoulder better, he can do the same.
2-1 Holdren and Rogers with the early lead.
Oh, great.
Not anymore. 2-2 on the AJ ace.
Can't give an inch. We saw from Todd Rogers the ability to snap the ball off. Now watch Adam Johnson at the finish. Boom, just snaps it off, big wrist snap, and is able to navigate that ball right down the line. Watch the contact right at the top, follows through, and you can see him hitting inside out, much like a pitcher throwing a screwball to get it down the line.
That's a long one, and that's just out of bounds. Adam Johnson was talking about his jump serve earlier this week. He said, with Karch, I'm not taking as many chances. I'm playing a little more conservatively. Our game now is siding out.
Well, and that's evolved. In Minneapolis, in the final of the year against Jose Loyola and Kent Steffes, Adam Johnson was standing right in the middle of the court and didn't miss any passes like that. This could be a side change.
Rogers up high, yes. So the youngsters, Dax Holdren, who's 24 years old, and Todd Rogers, who's 23. They had the early lead on Karch Karai, Adam Johnson. We're coming back. This is the AVP on NBC. Grand Slams earlier in the year. It was supposed to be at Manhattan Beach. They moved it to Hermosa. This was the final play, and Dane Blanton and Canyon Seaman had won their first tournament together, the first Grand Slam. Speaking of Grand Slams, let's go down to Bill Walton.
All right, Chris, you mentioned earlier that it was quite hot, and yes, you are right down there. Although all the players say that it's not near as hot as it was in Atlanta at the Olympics last year, where they had the nice cloud cover and they had the rain. Now, very, very hot. The thermometer right now is showing about 120 degrees. The fatigue factor here should work against Holdren and Rogers because they played 3 matches yesterday. They had an overtime match earlier this morning. This is only Karch and AJ's second match. Now, the sand, Chris, is very cool sand. This is white Florida beach sand. Doesn't reflect the heat like the California beaches do, but it's still very, very hot. Players just pouring the water all over their body, down themselves, gallons of water all day long. I took a bath in sunscreen before I got here today, Chris. SPF 60, and I'm still getting burned out here. I'm looking to dunk my head in the ice bucket right next to me.
Do it. Do it.
We're waiting.
All right, Chris. Should I do it?
Only if there's a camera around. Don't waste it. 3-2 is our score. Dax Holdren and Todd Rogers have the lead on Karch Karai and Adam Johnson, Chris Marlowe, Paul Sunderland, and Bill Walton. And here is Dax Holdren.
Left-handed jump serve causes some problems. Karch with a good pass.
Karch tapping and tapping over the top. Nicely done.
Dax Holdren making the defensive effort there after Karch Karai is able to slice it off. And Bill Walton made a very good point about Holdren and Rogers having to play in the qualifier yesterday, 3 long matches. And I asked Dax, how'd you feel this morning? He said, this morning was tough. It was hotter yesterday, believe it or not, but got 1 match under our belts and feel pretty good now. And looking for their first win, as I mentioned earlier, over Karai and Johnson.
Holdren bouncing hard. So Dax Holdren, who grew up in Santa Barbara, living in Hermosa Beach. He's won $53,000 this year. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that is great money for a rookie, and he's going to win a lot more this year. Todd Rogers just ahead of him with $54,000. And here's Adam Johnson, a big money winner. Rogers with a dig, chance for a point.
Not a good enough set.
And Rogers into the bottom of the net.
Got to make a better set there. You got the lead at the side change over the hottest team on the beach right now. Stay aggressive. You've made a good dig, and against Johnson and Kurai, who've been siding out so efficiently, you're not going to get many chances like this. You got to make sure you get a swing, but you got to get that ball much closer to the net.
Two greatest bump setters I ever saw doing that play, Henry Bergman and Matt Gage. They could spin it up with the correct rotation right to the net so you could get a whammy. Rogers blasting through.
Well, in today's game, the players score off of jump serving and stuff blocks and then mistakes, so they don't, a lot of high spinning digs. They don't get a lot of practice at that off play. And again, the quick arm swing. Todd Rogers, who was a setter in college, but showing that he's got some pop out here on the beach offensively.
Good serve by Holdren. Johnson on attack. Adam Johnson says he loves hitting Karch Karai's sets. I said, well, how good are they? He said, they're perfect. When I get served, I have a lot of confidence in Karai that he's going to put me right up there.
Well, Adam ought to take a little credit on his own shoulders. He's been passing the ball the last month superbly, and I think Karch would and has echoed that in the past.
3-2. Rogers and Holdren have the lead. Here comes Todd Rogers.
Come on.
And right to Karch. You heard the line call. It was not there, and Karch puts it away.
See the difference in quality of transition set from Adam Johnson. It wasn't as difficult an opportunity as Rogers and Holdren had, but after the Karch dig, AJ, little just composed play. Karch is right there, and AJ just claps the sand off and dishes it up to his partner and lets Karch take care of the rest. Not a good block either. Holdren wasn't over the net.
Karai serving. Still not much heat on his jump serve. At 3-3, Rogers out of the reach of Karai.
Mentioned that Karch has a movement coach named Adrian Crook, and what they have done is really sort of refined how efficiently you can get from one place on the court to another. A huge first step, and Karch really feels Adrian Crook was at the Olympics last year and was leading the cheers in the gold medal match along with you-know-who, Laz Kurai.
3-3. Adam Johnson, tight set, trouble, and Johnson got a touch off the tips of the fingers of Dax Holdren, so the score remains 3-up.
Good work that time by Adam Johnson, and no prerequisite on the part of the opposition to admit that you touched a ball that's flailed out of bounds, but AJ hit that ball high and flat on purpose. His only choice and chance to put that ball away was off the top of the block of Dax Holdren.
Johnson serving to Holdren. Off the net, and Holdren hits it out. Let's get out of Bill Walton. Bill?
All right, Chris, you and Paul were talking about the great success that Holdren and Rogers had at Hermosa. When they got home to their respective homes in Santa Barbara, their phone message machine was loaded with phone calls from agents, sponsors, tax advisors, all guys wanting to jump on the bandwagon for these two great rookies. Back to you, Chris.
Tax advisors and tax collectors. The IRS got an eye on these guys this year as well.
Absolutely. Both looking to up their sponsorship packages next year when they will be hot commodities on the tour. And Dax Holdren set to serve it up. Said our strategy serve tough, and they have been. 4-3 Karch and AJ. And Rogers unable to handle that one. Sometimes you take a little off a spike and it really throws those dug-in diggers into a quandary.
Well, you have to be ready for heat. You have to be ready for shots. That's the challenge of playing defense against a quality hitter, which all four of these athletes are.
Here we go.
You can't get cement feet. You can't get buried in because you have to be able to make a movement.
Karch and Johnson leading 4-3. Rogers getting a lot of serves and doing well on that one. Todd Rogers over the top.
See, early in this tournament, you're seeing Adam Johnson and Karch Kurai splitting the blocking responsibilities. Everybody agrees that Karch is a stronger blocker. Towards the end of this tournament, when they're playing against the bigger bombers, Jose Loyola, Kent Steffes, Mike Whitmarsh, Canyon Seaman, etc., you'll see Karch up there float serve and then run in about 90% of the time.
See Rogers getting a lot of kills so far.
He settled down after making a few mistakes early.
Looks a lot more confident in this tournament so far against Karai and Johnson than he did 5 weeks ago in Hermosa Beach.
Well, they've accomplished this a lot this season, particularly in the second half. First half of the season, they were a rookie team, 17th, 25th, losing 2 straight, not playing particularly effectively. But then they started to really get on a roll. And in Cleveland, they were 5th. In Cape Cod, they were 5th. Grand Haven, a 5th. Milwaukee, you know, many top 5 finishes in the second half of the season. They were a factor in every match. Nobody taking them for granted any longer.
Dax Holdren told me the turning point was in Cleveland. They got a 5th. They beat some good teams. They beat Seaman and Blanton, and after that, they've been very tough. Nice shot by Todd Rogers, little Kutsky.
You can't believe you can do it week in, week out until you do it for the first time and put that in your memory bank and take it back to practice with you. And when they beat Seaman and Blanton, who were a really hot team at the time, that put them over the top.
Rogers blocked Karch for a moment. Here comes Johnson. Look out! And he buries it.
That's a very quick arm swing. Todd Rogers, about the same size as Adam Johnson, both about 6'2", 6'3". But if you watch at the end, and good communication first by Adam Johnson to call off that play. But watch how quickly he gets on that ball just to beat it off the block of Todd Rogers. The hitter can see peripherally that the blocker's not over the net and going to get on him quick.
4-3. Karai and Johnson continue to lead. And going over the top is Todd Rogers.
Disguised that shot pretty well. Pulled out the pokey late. He's got a very, what we call, noodle arm. He can hit the ball inside out exceptionally well, much like Karch Kirai. And he disguised that little pokey over the top until the last moment.
So Todd Rogers set to serve. The rookie from East Beach into the bottom of the net. Score remains 4-3, Adam Johnson and Karch. Official timeout on the sand. We are coming back to beautiful and hot Orlando, Florida, right after this. Played in Chicago, Illinois. Troy Tanner, Randy Stokos taking on the hottest team on the beach. It was Kent Steffes and Jose Loyola. This was termination. Steffes, Loyola, yes. And that was it. Steffes and Loyola having some problems, Paul. They lost just before we came on the air out on court 1.
But still very much in this tournament. Round robin play today, and then advance into the top 8 teams out of 4 pools, all playing round robin. Will advance into quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the championship tomorrow.
Let's give some credit to the team that beat them, an up-and-coming young team of Raul Papaleo and Kevin Wong, the former UCLA star. That's a good team.
They finished 5th and 7th the last 2 weeks, and not a top 4 finish as yet, but that team has really been hot lately, and they played Steffes and Loyola tough throughout and made a little mini run in the middle of that match to get back in it, and then closed it out 15-13.
I'll tell you what, give me Kevin Wong at the net, and I can still play defense. That guy is a monster. Look out for him.
You have heat stroke or something? Poor Bill's the one down in the sun.
Over the top, Holdren goes and gets it. Karch on retreat, 4-3. Karch on the right, Rogers is there. Todd Rogers. Off speed, yes. Pretty good scramble play by the youngsters.
Exceptional scramble play and good hustle. You got to keep the ball in play. Make your opponent touch it one more time. And you don't expect Karch. Watch the pass that is made here. Karch goes back over his head. Now he makes the off play look routine time and time again. He shanked that ball a little bit, made AJ run after it, and it gave Rogers the chance to get back and play good defense.
Yeah, that was a pretty good flipper. I think it was Holdren who whacked that thing backwards. Holdren misses the serve there, and the score remains 4-3. Karai and Johnson. 5 minutes and 51 seconds to go in the game, and set to serve is the king, Karch Karai. Serving a little harder. Rogers passing perfectly.
And got it. No one.
Okay, Holdren's sets are a little bit off the net, aren't they?
Well, it's a good thing, and we've complimented Todd Rogers on having very good snap. And a lot of players just go up there a little bit like a bolo and just hit away. But you got to snap the ball at the top, and young players out there should watch Todd Rogers, who's not particularly tall, but because he makes such crisp contact, hand, arm, elbow, and snaps over it, he really has the ability to be an effective hitter and hit some clean shots. That ball hit out of bounds by Karch Kirai. A ball handling mistake, and now a spiking error. Tied at 4.
Let's go over to Bill Walton. Bill.
All right, Chris, you folks were talking about how much more confident Rogers and Holdren looked today. Speaking to them before the match, they said that winning Rookie of the Year really boosted their confidence, because when they look at the top 10 players in the AVP Tour now, most of them were at one time a Rookie of the Year. They see themselves in that position in years to come. Things looking very, very bright for Holdren and Rogers. And Chris, it is still very, very hot down here. Back to you.
And the ice bucket is still available.
It hasn't moved, Bill.
Well, right now, Todd Rogers is ranked 13th on the beach. Dax Holdren is ranked 14th. So they're right behind from cracking into that top 10 as Johnson serves. 4-4's our score. Rogers. And Holdren right in the hubby-wife area of no communication.
If you just take the second half of their season, they're right in the bottom half of the top 10. It was the first half of the year when you look at 17th, 25th. They had some injuries when they missed a couple of tournaments respectively. But second half, they've clearly been a top 10 club.
Dax Holdren serving. Back to Adam Johnson in a 4-4 tie. And Johnson powers it through. By his standards, Adam Johnson is having a poor year. He said things have turned around lately, but it has not been the year I anticipated. He was anticipating having to qualify to get into the King of the Beach, to qualify for tournaments, but now since he's got on this winning streak with Karch, things are looking up. See the open wins for Karai, 130. He's now 9 behind career leader St. John Smith.
Well, you're talking about Adam Johnson. The biggest thing he was anticipating was playing with Jose Loyola, and they had won 7 tournaments. He goes, wait a minute. Karch undergoes shoulder surgery, and you see Karai and Johnson now with 4. Loyola and Steffes more than twice as many than their nearest pursuer. But as we talked about, 11 out of those coming in the first 14 weeks, and they're 0 for the last 5. And then AJ injured a groin quite severely, and I think it took him a while psychologically and in terms of his real desire to play the game to get over the split with Jose Loyola.
Speaking of Jose Loyola, Johnson and Loyola don't speak. Occasionally they will say hi, but no conversation passing between those two players since they split up. 4-4. Here comes Rogers. He's been steady. Not that time. Looping long. So an easy shot missed by Todd Rogers. AJ and Karch go up 5-4.
The unforced errors once again. Todd Rogers with 3 unforced errors. He had a couple early in spite of the fact that Rogers and Holdren took the 3-2 side change. Rogers hits the ball out of bounds again. You've got to withstand the pressure of getting served time and time and time again.
Great serve by Johnson. Karch on the right, and Karch puts it away.
Now they were down 3-2, but just steadied out. The ability to side out for a long, long time in oppressive conditions have given Johnson and Karai the lead. What can do with the Jets?
Will he win his opening game?
I think they'll win.
Chances are good.
Yeah.
Chances are good.
And Keyshawn Johnson might get a couple of touchdown passes. Right. He said, give me the ball.
The big tuna will be hopping. Chris Marlowe, Paul Sunderland, and Bill Walton, hot and humid Orlando, Florida, our feature match. Todd Rogers and Dax Holdren going up against Adam Johnson and Karch Karai. It is 6-4. We were tied at 3. We had a 4-4 tie. Karch and AJ getting a couple of points, and that's where we stand right now.
Some defense by Adam Johnson. Been seeing a lot of that, and this is a really good play because I'll tell you, it's right near the back line, and you see both team members, Holdren and Rogers, on the back line talking to one another, that ball in or out.
Pretty good serve to Johnson. And Johnson smokes one downtown. There's not much wind coming onto the stadium court right now, but the good side of the court is the side that Holdren and Rogers are on.
Yeah, but not that big a factor, as you mentioned. Very light breeze, and actually, I think Bill Walton is probably cherishing that breeze right now, as are the players, as it picks up just a little bit.
Karch going with a float serve to Rogers. And Rogers looping high. 6-4. Karai and Johnson leading Holdren and Rogers. Both teams have been very, very steady. A couple of errors by Rogers and Holdren, and that accounts for the 2-point lead. Now, Rogers can serve into a slight wind. He got an ace last time he was on this side.
Karch will inch over towards the line once he makes his toss, and that creates the hubby-wife area.
Karch snapping. It's up. There goes Holdren. Well, apparently Holdren touched the net on the retreat. Is that the call, Paul?
Yeah, that's a pretty nice play.
And Holdren is thinking, why did I run that far, that fast?
Well, the whistle didn't blow until very, very late. That's a long run by Dax Holdren. He's 30 feet away. The court's 30 feet long, 30 feet wide. And the whistle didn't blow until he was already committed to the ball, and it was a net violation. Try to get a close look at Dax Holdren up there, and if there's a little brush, you know, you see it vibrating right there. The whistle should have blown immediately. Save Dax.
Kind of weird.
Holdren.
He ran away from the net, then it started to vibrate. What does that mean?
Might have been Marv.
Could have been Marvin Hall.
Just Marv vibrate.
Just jiggling a little bit. And there's an ace. So a big play. Johnson with his third service winner, second ace, and it's 7-4.
Kind of getting a sense that Karch and Adam Johnson were counting on Holdren and Rogers to make some mistake their way out of this game. But now I think they found that they're siding out better. That is Holdren and Rogers. And they got to step it up with their serving and defense.
Johnson's jump serving has looked very, very good. No one up for Rogers, and Rogers puts it away anyway. An impressive hit. About 9.5 feet off the net.
Yeah, that's a big-time hit for a player that's not 6'5", not 6'6", probably not even 6'3". And again, it's his ability. He jumps exceptionally well.
He's 6'2".
Like I said, not 6'3", not 6'4", not 6'5".
Holdren right to Karch.
I leave that kind of stuff to you.
Thank you. And Holdren has it up. Can he put it away? Not yet. Karch will.
That's a nice set by Adam Johnson and a block. Point scoring opportunity for Dax Holdren, but the lefty, you know, and on his offhand really couldn't get a good swing at that ball. Good dig by Dax Holdren, but here the set see, it's not nearly over across his body, so a very hard ball to swing at. He just tries to hit it inside out, and then Karch finishes the deal.
If you want to beat the second-seeded team, you got to
make that play. No question.
Absolutely.
No question. But the reason they're the second-seeded team is because Adam Johnson is making a block and making a good set, so not that easily done.
Timeout on the sand. Stick around. We're coming back. Championship game. The inaugural NBA season comes to a historic conclusion. The New York Liberty battle the Houston Comets for the honor of being the WNBA's first champion. Stay tuned to NBC for all the pregame festivities. We'll give you live coverage. That's right after volleyball today on NBC. Karch digs it out of the net. Johnson chopping. Rogers is there. And Karch is blocking.
That ball was set way too close to the net. Difficult chance possibly in the long rally, but you have to be precise. And Karch is timing blocking. Hands up, and then he pikes over the net and gets into the area where the ball's going to cross the net, taking away the angle shot from Todd Rogers. They're starting to take control, they meaning Kirai and Johnson.
It was tied at 4. Now it is 8-4. Adam Johnson had an interesting expression. I said, what about the young kids? And he said, you know, I think Karch is in their heads. Karch and I are in their heads, which I think we've got them psyched. We've got them. This is a team that has never beaten Kirai and Johnson. Holdren and Rogers talking about.
Drilled them at Hermosa for a Grand Slam title for Kirai and Johnson, then beat them twice the following week in Sacramento when Kirai and Johnson also eliminated Todd Rogers and Dax Holdren, and a good reason that they're in their heads, and because they're in a lot of teams' heads right now because they're playing so consistently.
Adam Johnson has won $129,000 this year, $1.3 million in his career. He's won on both sides. Not many players have done that. Ron Von Hagen, Pat Powers, Brent Frohoff, Buzz Schwartz, Scott Akatubby, to name a handful. And it looks like another point coming up. Adam Johnson looking to bang. No! Let's get out of Bill Walton. Bill?
All right, Chris, you and Paul were just talking about the intimidation that Karch and AJ have over Rogers and Holdren. Speaking to Todd and Dax before the match, they said that they have to learn how to raise the level of their performance to the type of job that you see from Karch. In sports, we call that court presence, and right now we're not getting much of that from Holdren and Rogers. Let's go back up to Chris.
All right, Dax Holdren and Todd Rogers in trouble right now. They were tied at 4, but Karch and AJ on a 6-zip run. It's cooled off some. It's now 118 degrees on the sand. Trying to keep out of the sun. This guy has the right idea. That's what Bill Walton should try. A number of fans around the country this year have wanted to do that to Bill Walton, to douse him.
Everywhere we go.
Yeah. Are you popular in Orlando, Bill?
Absolutely, Chris.
Look at these serve receives. Johnson and Cry even. Wow. Rogers has gotten 22 of 25.
Yeah, but 5 unforced errors. They're keeping the ball on the smaller Todd Rogers, making him try to side out against, right now, the best defensive team. And Adam Johnson continues to serve better and better and better. What's that now? His 3rd ace. And just slicing off angles and putting on tremendous pressure.
You said in the last 5 weeks you thought Adam Johnson has been the best player on the beach.
More impact, in my opinion, than any other single player. And he's just a couple of crucial matches against Jose Loyola and Kent Steffes, among others. Fabulous defense, and he's always had a good jump serve, but the last 5 weeks he's been doing everything.
Confidence is brewing. Johnson with a spear dig. AJ. Rogers had a lot of time that time. Karch with the dig. Looking to put it away. Trying to save a point. Holdren. And Johnson touched the net.
Marvin Hall with the call. The net's shaking once again, and you see part of the reason, even though Kirian Johnson didn't finish this play out, Kirian is offside, never been known as even a good right side hitter. It's really a big downside for him when he has to transition from the right side there at the end. The net violation, very easily called by Marvin Hall. You see the way they're clicking defensively. And not only do they get the dig, but they all are so quick and so healthy now, they get a set right on top of the net.
We'll be back right after this.
Ready for this.
Miller Lite Grand Slam was played in Hermosa Beach, California, the U.S. Championships. These two teams, Holdren and Rogers, shut down by Karai and his partner Adam Johnson. Their first win this year. They had the opportunity to lift up that trophy. And as you see, the winners of the AVP Miller Lite Grand Slams,
Here we go.
Blanton Seaman, Loyola Steffes, Johnson Karai, and who will it be this weekend? And all earning points towards the World Championship coming up in a couple of weeks. Going to be an interesting 8 teams that the AVP qualifies for that tournament.
And the way the prize money is loaded now towards the Miller Lite Grand Slam, if you want to make your year, and let's not forget these are professional athletes and many of them millionaires many times over, but they make their year by winning the big tournaments, and $87,000 to the first place team this week.
And line.
Todd Rogers aiming deep into the court. Rogers does something that's kind of interesting. He does aim deep into the court. As you look at the AVP Tour money, Jose Loyola bolstered by his King of the Beach money right behind his Steffes.
You see Karch Karai at 125. He made 471 last year. Canyon Seaman having a marvelous season now with Mike Whitmarsh. And Mike Whitmarsh, after playing so long and so well, winning a silver medal last year with Mike Dodd, they have split up. Dodd with a lot of injuries.
Johnson goes and gets it. And Johnson lobs. 10-4 is our score. Johnson and Karai controlling the action.
Karch has always been a good caller. In other words, letting his partner know where to shoot the ball or hit the ball. And their chemistry right now, AJ just clicks into Karch's calls and is using the whole court.
Johnson serving. And right by Johnson. The defensive player of the year missed one.
Well, he has that ball if it doesn't hit the top of the tape. He was ready for the hard heater. Todd Rogers has a unique hitting style. We've talked about how he snaps on the ball, but he also hangs.
Yeah.
And he looks one way, hard cross court, and then slices it off deep into the corner. Good ability to move the ball around.
Got some good jumping ability as the ball goes back to Karai and Johnson.
There's plenty of time left, but you just haven't seen in the last month and a half where Karai and Johnson have gone through a long period where they haven't been good offensively. So teams are not able to run comebacks on them.
Rogers looping over the top. Rogers and Holdren have been siding out fairly steadily, but they were tied at 4, and now it is 10-4. So Karai and Johnson just slowly grinding them into the ground.
Well, 20 kills now for Todd Rogers, and he's received 27 serves. And back to Bill Walton's point, this is a team that went through the qualifier yesterday. So their 5th match of the tournament, and Karai and Johnson, because of their higher seed at number 2, got a bye into the second day of competition, only their 2nd match. And it continues to cool off. It's down now to about 117.
Rogers has the coolest shades on tour, doesn't he, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah, those are
it's a good look.
Those are real cool. Johnson serving. 10-4.
Line.
And Rogers loops it down the line. If Rogers and Holdren lose this match and do not qualify out of pool play, can they still get in the World Championship?
It's going to be very close. It's going to depend a lot on what happens with some other teams. Right now, they're ranked 13th and 14th, and the top 8 teams on the AVP Tour get in. So that means the top 16 players in a configuration of their points. So they need to do something. Not sure they can come back and win here, and they already lost in overtime to Mike Whitmarsh. And want to check the pools on that to see who their first loss was to. They lost to, excuse me, I thought I was wrong when I started to say Mike Dodd and Rob Heiger.
I was going to correct you, but you hate it when I do that.
Well, that's why I jumped right in. I wanted to find the brackets.
10-4. Karts got the block. So old Pinky Hat doing it again.
AJ Karts down by 7 on the side chain.
2 minutes and 48 seconds to go. Karian Johnson in command here in Orlando.
Chris, we are working this ice bucket relentlessly here, trying to cool off here. Dr. Doug Anderson, who's in charge of medical care on the AVP Tour, he has been passing out tons of salt tablets to everybody. The water just pouring out of you. He estimates a half a gallon of water per match per player for all these guys. So everybody is just watering it down right now. I think I need to water you guys down. You guys are getting hot up there. Chris?
All right, Bill. Fans are trying to keep the sun off their heads. Humidity, if you live down here, not much of a problem, but the direct sun is. Crowd trying to get Dax Holdren and Todd Rogers jacked up. We were tied at 4. Karian Johnson on a 7-0 run, and they are in control of this match at the moment. I'm Chris Marlowe, my partner, as always, on NBC. Paul Sunderland, Bill Walton along for the ride today, as Karts Kiraly dominating up front. Karts got the block. And down the line goes Todd Rogers.
Rogers and Holdren, good young volleyball team, as evidenced by their award. If you're just joining us, they were co-rookies of the year, and congratulations to them. But we're talking about weapons. You know, to be a top player, you have to have weapons like Jose Loyola does, like Adam Johnson does, Kent Steffes, Karts Kiraly, Brian Lewis, Randy Stoklos this year, who also at the advanced, certainly, stage of his career had a very good season.
Here comes Karch. And over the top. If you're wondering about awards, Karch Kiraly getting the Sportsmanship Award. He also got
Comeback Player of the Year Award.
Exactly.
His perseverance, overcoming not only the severe shoulder surgery, but also suffered a couple of very serious setbacks in training with that arm, and had to overcome an awful lot, and has finished out the season with Adam Johnson superbly.
Missed 7 tournaments as Rogers. Karch had the dig.
Good.
Everything going on Rogers.
Yeah, Rogers with a little snap down.
Rogers, so a nice dig.
Rogers and Holdren, they can't score. They're stuck at 4.
Second time around with the put away down the line.
Serving has been very ineffective for Holdren and Rogers. They get a couple of hard ones, but then they miss. Their rhythm is not good.
Well, ever since the ace down the line from Todd Rogers, Kirian Johnson make an adjustment, and also they might be the best passing team on the beach. And
hey, there's an ace.
And of course, as you build them up, they oftentimes let you down, and that served right up the hubby-wife area, and the problem that Johnson and Kiraly rarely have had.
So Karch misses a pass about once every quadrennial. Missed one there, and it's 11-5. You never know when a rally can start with a little play like that. Here comes Johnson. And Dax can't get there, despite being left-handed and going to his onside.
A lot of young players can learn a lot from Adam Johnson's offense in the last month and a half or so, because he's been using the whole court, not just hitting the ball down the line, but hitting the ball deep down the line. Not hitting it cross-court, but hitting it crisply in the angle to set that up, and then if the defense adjusts, he loops the ball all the way in the deep corner. A lot of his shots go down untouched.
2 minutes and 17 seconds to go. Kirian Johnson leading Holdren and Rogers by 6, 11-5. And now Todd Rogers will put the ball in play. They need the 11-9 change. Get back over to the good side to put pressure. Good side to put pressure on Kirian and AJ. And that serve is too long.
It's about having weapons. They're not going to block a lot of balls. This is not a particularly big team physically. See the reception story once again. Johnson and Kiraly. That means, you know, that Holdren and Rogers can't really find anybody to attack, so they're just going with one guy and then the other. Whereas Johnson and Kiraly clearly have a defined game plan.
Jump serve out of bounds. Of course, if you're new to volleyball, you might not know that Bob Vogelsang was the man who institutionalized the volleyball jump serve in the United States. Although, talking about legends and talking the last couple of weeks, a lot of people, the old-timers, say Art Diamond invented the jump serve back in the 50s. So there is a little speculation about that. It was certainly popularized by the Brazilians in the 1984 Olympics, and since then it's taken off.
Just wanted to go back to something you said at the beginning of your comments. Did you say that he institutionalized it, or Bob Vogelsang should be institutionalized? Which one?
I think both. I think both.
One of the great personalities in the history of the game.
In fact, he is going to be the ceremonial first server at the World Championship. They're going to drag Vogie out.
And I promise you, he'll jump it up.
Yeah,
oh, that's
he can
great.
still jump.
And still very involved with the game, coaching some of the players. Brian Gatsky out on tour. Bob Vogelsang's been very visible on tour.
Let me take a quick little story. I told Vogelsang that a lot of people said Art Diamond invented the jump serve, and he said, I taught it to Art Diamond. I remember teaching it to him in a game of singles at State Beach. I taught it to him. He started to use it. I was the man who made it go.
Show me the video. Or the film, we should say.
No, so you got to go back to the Super 8. Adam, yeah, Stone Tablets, says Kevin Smolin, our producer. Hey, he's pretty funny, isn't he? Got some fun in it.
Matter of opinion.
11-5. We're hanging on, and we're hoping for a rally, at least to make it competitive. Holdren and Rogers trying to get back in it. They have plenty of time, 2 minutes, and they trail by 6.
They have time. But because, again, a lack of weapons, stuff blocks, ability to transition time and time again, they're going to need some help. They're going to need some mistakes on the part of Adam Johnson and Karch Kiraly.
If you're just joining us, this is the AVP Tour Championships. Karch Kiraly and Adam Johnson in our feature match against Dax Holdren and Todd Rogers, the second seeds against the 9th seeds. Chris Marlowe, Paul Sunderland, and Bill Walton, the final regular season event of the year. There's no tournament next week, and then the week after we'll be in Los Angeles at the UCLA Tennis Center for the World Championship. $650,000 of prize money for men and women, 2s and 4s, legends. They got it all.
And depth of field. That's what's going to be most interesting to me. All the top AVP teams, all the top Brazilian teams.
How will they seed the men?
Well, I think because the United States is the host, an American team will get the first seed, and probably deservedly so, the top-ranked AVP team, and that would be Kiraly and Johnson. Because they're the second seed now, the top seed, which all season long has been Kent Steffensen, Jose Loyola, they split up because Jose Loyola is going to represent Brazil.
Holdren, Karch has it. 11-5, put away Johnson. AJ with the put away. Now it is 12-5.
The ability to transition. We talked about Adam Johnson playing and winning on the right side, on the left side, and with a multitude of partners this year with Karch Kiraly 4 times. And mentioned weapons, and Adam Johnson has several, including this right here, although he bangs that one long.
Official timeout on the sand. We're coming back. More of the AVP on NBC. Johnson and Kiraly up by 7.
Speed always beats, speed and quickness always beats size and strength. We've seen that in basketball for the millennium now. Look for Houston and Cynthia Cooper to come out and really play a quick up-tempo game. That should give them the edge, along with a great home crowd. And I also think that Cheryl Swoops is going to come up with a big performance today. She's due. She's a championship-level performer like Karch Kiraly and Adam Johnson. Chris?
All right, New York fans, that was Bill Walton slamming your liberty, just so you know, as Holdren puts it away. Good analysis?
Yeah, I think so. I've seen New York play a couple of times this year when they played the LA Sparks, and New York, solid ball club, but Houston much, much quicker. And Cheryl Swoops is a big-time scorer. She showed that in college and in the Olympic Games. Cynthia Cooper's been great all season.
All right, back to the action. Karch Kiraly and Adam Johnson just 3 points away from a win here. Dax Holdren and Todd Rogers kept it close earlier. We were tied at 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then Rogers and Holdren going dry, and Karch and AJ getting 7 straight points.
And during that 7-0 run, they served Todd Rogers 22 straight times. That's having a game plan, and sticking with it and watching it work and having the experience to stay with it, even though Todd Rogers is able to, for a long period of time, make plays just like that. He's now been served 33 times and has 25 kills. So that's a big outing, but you've got to think that the 3 matches they played yesterday, when it was equally, if not hotter, according to some of the players, are really starting to take its toll.
Serving Karch.
And go.
And Rogers has the dig. Can he get a swing on it?
Tough set for him to hit from well off the net.
AJ, nobody up, and the put away.
Johnson for the side out. Johnson and Karai.
Good volleyball coaches like we had in Doug Beal, and you hear Marv Dunphy say, improve the ball. You got to keep improving the ball. Well, that's what Karch Kurai did. He improved it for his partner much closer to the net than Todd Rogers could improve it, or Dax Holdren could improve it for Todd Rogers, and results in a much better set. And the ball, big advantage to Kurai and Johnson.
Kurai has the look. It is 12 all week around us. Did you participate at all, Paul?
Yeah.
Did you ever play football?
Yes, I was a wide receiver in high
and
school.
a very gifted one, weren't you?
Yeah.
At Notre Dame High School? No, you were good.
I was pretty good. Those were in my quicker days.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Sam Cunningham, middle linebacker for Santa Barbara High School, went on to be Sam Bam Cunningham at USC. I caught a slant pattern against Santa Barbara in the playoffs when I was a freshman in high school, starting wide receiver, and he broke 3 of my ribs and about killed me in front of my mother and my family. And that was almost the end of my football career. Played 4 more years.
So he was Sam the Bam before he got to USC.
That's how he got the nickname.
According to Paul Sutherland.
I used to break out that picture of him bamming me almost into eternity.
1:09 to play. It's been an intriguing match. It hasn't been an exciting match. Kind of a workmanlike effort for Karch Kurai and Adam Johnson as they grind it through.
It's been pretty much according to form. Adam Johnson and Karch Kurai offensively, you know, they're solid. They don't make unforced errors, and they just keep you off the scoreboard. You look at unforced errors, Kurai has 1, Johnson has 1, but on the other side of the ledger, Dax Holdren only has 1 because it hasn't been served much, but Todd Rogers has 5, so 6 unforced errors to 2. You look at the scoreboard, and the difference is 6 on the board.
Cut it. Come on.
And that loopy is long, make it 13-6.
And that is an example of another unforced error. Good-looking side-out play until the shot carries long.
13, serving 6.
Kurai and Johnson just 2 points away now. We've dipped under a minute, 59 seconds. Been a long blast here as Kurai reaching high. And suddenly it's 14-6. So we'll come back. Kurai and Johnson 1 point away from victory here at the AVP Tour Championships. Handed out this week. Jose Loyola got 3 of them: MVP, BDP, and the BMW Ultimate Player.
Got a motorcycle. He and his partner have been riding along most of the season, but they got to finish strong. Troy Tanner, a marvelous season. One of 3 co-recipients of Defensive Player of the Year. I got some thoughts on that. Dax Holdren and Todd Rogers. First time ever there have been co-rookies of the year. Canyon Seaman, a marvelous season as well.
These are the partiers of the year. They're getting into the NFL experience, and they're trying to keep cool.
As a business venture, I'm sure 1,000 people have already thought of it, but I want the squirt gun session in Orlando, Florida.
Johnson and Kurai will serve up game point. Karch and Johnson playing like Ron Lang and Ron Von Hagen used to, or St. John Smith and Randy Stoklos.
Grind it out.
Side out volleyball at its best. Rogers pumps it through. 55 seconds to go, 14-6. This one just about over. Rogers, a lot of pressure on him, but Johnson and Kurai so steady now.
Becoming a factor, an 8-point lead for Kurai.
It's going to be tough, well, virtually impossible it seems now for Todd Rogers and Dax Holdren to advance into tomorrow's quarterfinals, which will be single elimination 2 out of 3. So the last tournament of the year, the hottest location of the year in terms of heat and humidity combined by far, and then 2 out of 3 games tomorrow. Those are 2-11, but you got to win by 2. That's going to be a lot of volleyball tomorrow.
Chance for a point here. Rogers. And Johnson pops it right back over.
And line.
Rogers again.
By Todd Rogers, cross court.
Johnson upset at himself because he wants to get out of here.
Yeah.
They want to get finished. They have 1 win so far in pool play, about to close out another. They beat Kierans and Russell 15-6, and they're about to finish out on Todd Rogers and Dax Holdren. And then they have waiting Mike Dodd and Rob Hyger, a new team together. Mike Dodd bothered by so many injuries this season, the reason why he broke up with or was dropped by Mike Whitmarsh.
Johnson has had some heat conditioning problems in the past, but he told me in the tent before we went out that he has not taken a bag of IV liquid in over 2 years. He thinks he's got the problem conquered. He takes now a lot of electrolytes and water and salt tabs, and so he feels like he's in the best condition of his life.
Well, this weekend is going to test all the players,
yes,
irrespective of what kind of condition you're in, because these are extreme conditions.
Second game point. Johnson has it up. Looking for the win. Not yet. Holdren off the net. Karch on the right side. Can he elevate? Yes, but he couldn't get heavy heat on it. Here comes Rogers. Save a point. Yes.
The co-rookies of the year hanging in, showing you why they deserve that award and deserve it together. AJ couldn't finish it off. Karch on his offside once again, and Todd Rogers digging once, twice, and early in that play, he took a shot up high. He hit that into the net on purpose because he couldn't control it and give his partner Dax Holdren time to go in and scoop that ball out of the net.
Just 19 seconds to play, and it's 14-7. So Holdren's got to crank up the jumper. Get a few aces here. And Karch off the net. That was the play he couldn't have made a month ago, hitting a 10-foot back set with a little authority.
He was getting virtually every serve, and people were serving him tough, creating a set well off the net, and Karch was having to look for open areas of the court, loopy deep, loopy hard cross court. But now he's able to drill that ball to the beach.
Third game point, Karai Johnson. Clock running at 10 seconds. Karch blocked it.
Little confusion.
Here comes Holdren. And Holdren snaps it down.
Ended any doubt. Good snap by Dax Holdren. A fine hitter. That's why we haven't seen much. Only his 5th kill so far. He's only been served 4 times. The only chance we get to see his offense is if he gets a dig or they make a play in transition. The stronger hitter between the two.
5 seconds to play. And Todd Rogers said, I've had enough. He sends a sky ball over near Bill Walton. And we will have one more play. Rogers and Holdren are good, but they haven't figured out how to handle the experience and greatness of Karch Karai and Adam Johnson.
They have the ability to play at a higher level, and Karch has many weapons as a blocker and defensive player, and AJ has a plethora of weapons at this stage of the 97 season. 4 aces so far. That's a big-time weapon to start things off. Establishes his game, but his defense and transition ability has been superb in the last 6 weeks.
Adam Johnson and Karch Karai, they've won 4 out of the last 5. They're not the number 1 seeded team. Ken Steffes and Jose Loyola are, but I would say Karai and Johnson are the team to beat this weekend.
Well, they're the best team on the beach the last 6 weeks because of plays like that. That's dramatic, that's quick, but what has gotten them to this level right now of play on the 97 season is they've been able to grind it out, siding out for a long, long time, just like the great teams of old and the great teams of today.
All right, we are coming back. We'll have an interview with Bill Walton right after this station break and a word from your local sponsors.